my favorite part of junior shows. So, that's always good. I actually start Wednesday directing a middle school production of it, so this got me warmed up and ready to go. Tell me the age range.
16 and a half.
How old are you?
7.
7.
16 and a half.
16 and a half. How old were all the ducklings? 7.
I was, what? I'm 10. I'm 9.
The ducklings, the thing I want to say about the ducklings is it was a really great group.
Woo!
Ducklings. You weren't carbon copies of each other, but you were a clear group of ducklings, and it wasn't just the hats. The hats helped, but it wasn't just the hats. The way that you guys worked together and fed off of each other, I thought worked really nicely, and it's a big thing in this show. You've got your littlest kids in most cases playing this important chunk of people. The ducklings are really important, and so it's a lot to put on some of the younger members of the cast, and I thought you handled it really nicely. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Going right off of that, actually, I noticed it with the ducklings when, forgive me, I don't know the show very well. The ugly. When you first come out, like you informed me how I was supposed to feel about him without knowing the show. That's important. And I also noticed that from the entire group. The cat, yes? You came on, I knew what I was going to think about you because of your reactions, and that's fantastic. That is really, really smart, good ensemble work. You know, the spotlight should have been on these leading people in those moments, and I was really just watching you guys to show me what I was supposed to feel, so that was fantastic. I thought the dancing was especially good in this. Really, really some strong dancers in here, which was really great to see, really good. And some of the little specialty moments I thought were exceptionally good. Ida, is that correct?
Yeah.
Great. Such, I thought, sophisticated interpretation of a song. It kept me, I really found myself just sort of lost in watching you guys. It was really, really great work, I thought. All of you who had special moments. Really fantastic work, I thought.
Are you Grey Lamb?
Yeah.
Before the show started, I was looking, I was like, that's the turkey, and that's the frog, and that's... what you don't know is there's a whole flock of geese that come in, and the bullfrog, warts and all, is a full production number. That was the curtain call, warts and all, because of time restraints. Yeah, really nice. Big challenge for you. You got to start it off, and especially with a show that not everybody knows. There's a lot of your opening lines set up the tone of the show. They set up the dry humor that's in it. They set up all of that stuff. So really nice job getting those words out, fighting the braces, and making it clear. Now you had good diction at the beginning and got us started with the mood. And because you have to do it all by yourself. I mean, a show like, I don't know what, a show like Seussical, they all come out and they'll probably do it, I don't know. But they have all other things you can think with everybody to set up the mood of the show. And you get everybody, but you have to really start it on your own. And I thought you did a nice job doing that and setting the mood, and all of you bringing your poultry out. And, you know, little things like Grace taking her moment. Like Jenny said, this lighting would do so many things to help you, but you accomplished all of those things without the spotlights. You know, Grace took her moment there that she needed to take, and the ducklings individually took their moments, and the cat took stage, and just everybody did what they needed to do when they needed to do it to tell the story to us. I know the show backwards and forwards. I've been involved with 2 productions. I saw a professional production of the full show 8 times, and so I know Honk. But for someone who doesn't, I think it was clear, and that's a big important thing when you're telling a story, which is what you're doing. That's the most important thing. You can sing the best ever, which you guys sang really nicely, but that means nothing if you're not telling the story. Great voices mean nothing if you're not relaying to the audience what's going on and what you're feeling as characters. And that's the most important thing. Sometimes we get caught up in the whole singing thing because it's great to sit back and listen to somebody belt a big show tune. And I love that as much as anybody. But I would rather have somebody that can't sing a lick and is going to speak through a song and me really feel it and get the emotion and the motivation and get everything from them than hear somebody sing really well that's not acting. And so that's really important. I think that you guys accomplished that while singing well.
What a treat for me to never have seen this before and not know anything about it and to let it unfold. Because now whenever I hear about Honk, I'll always think about you guys first. Because one of the things that I thought was great about it is that I love the careful use of one prop that would help define your character. So for instance, with turkey, we knew he was turkey, but what I loved about what you did is that you brought your own stamp of how turkey moved. I mean, you kept to the steps, you kept to the thing, but you imbued all of these wonderful qualities that made me want to know more about Greylag. It wanted to make me think, we could have had a whole 20 other stories going on here. And that was because you took the time to really take care of what your character was. How did you build your characters? What was that process?
Part of it was just playing off of what was happening and thinking about our characters and how we would react to what's happening. Like definitely with the chorus.
Like, how did you go about building your character?
Well, I know this is going to sound really stupid, but I listened to this CD a lot before, so I got a feeling for how the character of Greylag would act.
Okay.
I'm not saying I sang exactly like God,
Right,
because I really wasn't trying, but, obviously. But, yeah, and then I just played off what, Dot, yes. What Dot and my flock was doing and how somebody who was stuck up would respond to that.
But it made it seem very natural. I mean, it wasn't like you were portraying something. It was as we sometimes say in this, it's a very organic what you did. And I think all of you had this way of doing it. I'm really sort of just rephrasing things that have already been said. Like the ducklings, I really felt that there was this family. And I could see, I would be probably like to play with that duckling a little more than that one. For the ducklings, how did it feel when you had to push him over? Yes.
It felt kind of fun.
Because I know that usually actors are always very sensitive, and to have to do something like that to another cast member, but I really wanted to say I appreciated all of the stage safety that you also paid attention to, because you were very careful with him, but yet you got that movement out. One thing that I wanted also to comment on that I really noticed with this group is that there's always, when you're doing this kind of a presentation, those transition moments where you've left out a bit of the narrative. And there was one when Ida was ready to sing her solo, and the gentleman who played the recorder. What I loved was that you were doing action while you were waiting for the music that then sort of pulled us right into it. It wasn't like you just stood there, you started doing it, you were involved with, who was the camera person? And that was just terrific because you took that time for me to know exactly what it was about. I wanted to talk about the two solos where with the ugly duckling and with Ida, that you seemed to enjoy just telling us a story. You weren't worried about the fireworks, you weren't worried about it, you were just really connected. So,
Where are you guys from?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, what part of Pennsylvania? Okay, cool. And did you do the full production of Honk Jr.? Did you do it already, or are you going to? When did you do it?
Last spring.
Last spring. Oh, so you're like, hey, remember when? When did you start working to get ready for today?
Like a year ago. We auditioned.
Like 4 weeks ago, you pulled it back together. And what is Alpha Omega Players? Is it an organization in the community that you...
Community theater, and this is the the kids part of it. We do both adult shows and kids shows, so this way kids help kids.
Awesome.
A question, from those of you who did it in the spring and then were able to come back and for here, what anything different happened to you or your character, or? Yes.
There's a lot more chemistry between us.
Okay.
We have more things, like how I get annoyed with him and
Yeah.
things, and how he's picking on other girls and things.
And kind of like, I guess it's because you had that waiting period where you were able to think about it. And you were like, okay, so we need to pull this character back out in later time, so you can think about it, think about more things that you can do. Plus, there's obviously little sections missing in the storyline, so
Right.
that could also help with your character development.
But I think a lot of times, and there are a number of us who've done this, where we'll come back to a show and we go, why didn't I think of that before? And then you sometimes say, well, this might have been really richer. And at the same time, what you first created always has that wonderful sense of newness. And I guess the challenge for you always as actors is to try to think about every possible variation that you can have in the discussion. Somebody else had their hand up. Yes?
Well, like we're supposed to be this family of like ducks or whatever, we've all been together. And when we first started, it was very like, oh hi, you know, like we're just meeting each other. And after working on this for like almost a year, I think, we've really become that family. So I think it really enhances like the characters, and we're all really close now. So.
Yeah, and I think that also translated to us that this was that you all had been in the farmyard for a long period of time.
Excellent. Well, let's have another round of applause for the